I was very lucky the very first time I came to Jackson Hole. Lucky to be coming to Jackson Hole and lucky to be on the right side of the aircraft. It was probably a little after sunset. It was just so truly awesome. And that was my very first and incredibly lasting impression. I like to think every performance is in its own way, a highlight, and therefore standout performances for me were the ones, of course, probably the obvious, when you do a Mahler 3, when you do a big Brahms symphony. Those are all highlights. But I would say the first concerts with those artists that have come to be family here. Great world-class artists who take time out of their very busy schedules to come here. I'm thinking of the first performances with Augustin, Hadelich, James Ennis. Now looking back retrospectively, just the relationships, the bonds between them and the orchestra clearly, but also the bond between the audience and the community and them. And just over the years, that's just been something quite wonderful to behold. And of course, it's not too shabby to have established such a relationship with Yo-Yo Ma, who I know loves to be here. This may surprise some people when talking about favorite behind-the-scenes moments, because this was quite a cliffhanger. Susan Graham was down to sing the Nuit d'été, Hector Berlioz, and her first appearance here coincided with the cottonwood going crazy. And she got such allergies, such that she just, in the first rehearsal, she was coughing. Second rehearsal, it was just clear. I mean, she sort of groaned at me to say, "Donald, I can't do this." So what do you do? And you're in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And this is why I talk about behind the scenes. Well, behind the scenes, we were, of course, thinking, well, who on earth could we bring in to substitute for Susan? And we found out that Michelle de Young was on holiday, was camping up northwest of America. We got in contact with her, and we found that she was willing to come. Well, how do we get her there? And I spoke with Alan Tesler, a cherished member of the family and erstwhile a board chair. And Alan says, "I'll fly her." He flew and brought Michelle in. What makes this also very an exciting behind the scenes was that these songs can be sung in many keys, high keys, low keys, according to if you're a mezzo or a soprano. Well, of course, Michelle didn't sing in the same keys as Susan. So our glorious and indefatigable librarian, Crow, spent his night rewriting these songs so that the orchestra could actually perform them in the keys that Michelle could sing in. So we thought this is, I mean, a real effort on behalf of the entire, the orchestra and the librarian. And Michelle turns up and comes out, and there's such an ovation for having saved the show. And I think she got into the third or fourth song, and midway through the song, she stopped. She looked round to me and said, "Donald, I am so sorry, but I can't sing anymore. I don't know." And the audience spontaneously burst out into rapturous applause because this woman had saved the day and was succumbing to the same thing that Susan had succumbed. And I found something to say, and that's a quite unique behind-the-scenes experience. When it comes to pre-concert rituals, there are some things I can tell you, some things perhaps I shouldn't. Seriously though, there's no real ritual. I do know that very often on the day of a Friday concert, we already have the rehearsal in the morning, which is quite intense. I'll have some glorious salad in one of a number of great restaurants here in Jackson Hole. And I will try and get an hour, just a nap, and just to be fresh and in the best possible state of mind for the concert. A day off in Jackson Hole is something rare to non-existent. It's very, very rare that I really have a complete day off, particularly during the festival. Of course, there are always a variety of meetings, or you're meeting audience members, you're spending time with the guest artists. But if I do get some time off, one of those days is invariably spent on the bike. In the winter, it's spent on skis. As for so many people here, the sporty side of it, I just adore. And it's such an antidote to the utterly intangible world of performing music. Sushi. Wildflower Trail. There are no bad views of the Teton Mountains. Gustav Mahler. La Valse by Maurice Ravel. Shirley Horn, Ella Fitzgerald, Enya. Theo of Golden by Alan Levi. Paradise. I often reflect on where the festival has come since I first came in 2006 and where we find ourselves 20 years later in 2026. I came in at a time when the orchestra was already just quite extraordinary. I sensed very much from the search committee and the orchestra itself that there was on some level they wanted to go to the next level, and that involved my approach to making music, my connections, the artists with whom I work that I would be eager to bring here and who might come because of me. And I think that for all the enthusiasm and the support I received when I first came here, I think there was a watch what you wish for in terms of taking the festival to the next level, which I'm very proud of the fact that 20 years on, I feel that not only have we gotten over this initial reluctance to perhaps let this grow too quickly, to a why can't we move more quickly? These musicians are all musicians in phenomenal orchestras or institutions back home, and they wanted the world to see why do they spend their summers here when they could be hiking somewhere else or having proper vacations. No, they wanted to be here. I've used this term quite often, that they renew their vows here. And we're now in a position where the word is out, the genie's out of the bottle. The fact that we are recording now, the fact that there's such support for more recording, so that you will talk about the Grand Teton Music Festival not just in a local sense or a national sense, but really quite internationally. And nothing could make me more proud. I'm very fortunate to travel the world and work with great musicians, great opera companies, great symphony orchestras. There are so many great experiences that I cherish. I will, however, always know what the highlight of my year is. It's this 2-month festival. For a variety of reasons, of course, because of the music, because of the level of excellence. I cherish as well the depth of the relationship between myself and hundreds of musicians who return not just faithfully, but enthusiastically. Many, many athletes come from all over the world, specifically to Jackson Hole, to the Grand Tetons, to work on their endurance, to work on their strength, to work on all the things that they know gives them even more chance to be competitive. And I think that also in some ways is a little like what happens with the musicians and happens to me. When I leave at the end of the festival, I know that I'm healthier. I know that there are more red blood cells in my body. I know that having spent the summer here, just on a physical level, I go somewhere else and I feel superhuman. That is also a metaphor for the music making at this level, both literal, geographical, and figurative. What we achieve here, what guest artists, guest conductors achieve here, the energy is so palpable. And With that, we are then let loose again on the world, and we return to other organizations, and the players return to their orchestras. I just think stronger, more, even more idealistic, even more inspired to take what they have felt here and what they have learned here and let it inform what they're doing in their respective organizations. It's such a tonic. It's the best. My fervent hope for the next 50 years is that as we have been given this privilege and pleasure to protect and nourish and nurture this incredible festival, that through our efforts we have secured the future of the next 50 years, that there are people who have not yet been born who will hear about the Grand Teton Music Festival, whether it's audience members, whether it's orchestral players, whether it's young people just learning their instruments, that the Grand Teton Music Festival will be this beacon of excellence, a beacon in the community, and that with that we have vouchsafed the future of this extraordinary organization. I would say, first and foremost, thank you. A deeply felt thank you. Thank you for your trust. More than anything, of course, thank you for your enthusiasm. Thank you for turning up. There are many, many other things you might want to be doing in Jackson Hole during the summer. Thank you for turning up, but thank you for trusting the Grand Teton Music Festival and its vision. We fill our concerts with the familiar, but also with the unfamiliar. The fact that our audience still turns out, even though they may not have heard of composers on a specific program. It's the feeling of, well, if it's good enough for Runnicles and these incredible musicians, then it's good enough for me. So it's also thank you for you reaching out quite literally to many of these extraordinary musicians. With that, you have given all these musicians the feeling of a second home. That is just something quite extraordinary and something very moving. And thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for supporting us not through your presence, but also encouraging others to attend through your extraordinary financial generosity, bringing us to the point where we can transform this miracle of a hall, the Walk Festival Hall. Without you, the audience, we would still be a festival of aspirations. I think the fact that so many dreams have come true has so much to do with our remarkable audience.